If you've ever lived in an HOA neighborhood, you know the vibe. It's all, welcome to the community, in the group email, and then your trash can was visible for 7 minutes, the second you blink wrong. But I swear to you, I did not move into Maple Hollow thinking I'd end up staring down a crew of strangers stringing razor wire across my backyard like we were guarding nuclear codes. And no, I'm not exaggerating. I woke up on a Tuesday, made coffee, stepped outside barefoot to let my dog out, and there it was. A bright orange survey line cutting straight through the grass I'd just reseeded. And behind it, 3 guys in neon vests unloading metal posts like they were setting up a prison yard. I actually laughed at first, like a confused little snort, because my brain refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. Then one of them held up a roll of coiled wire, and the sun hit it just right, and I saw the teeth on it. That's when I realized, oh, this isn't a joke. This is somebody's plan. My name's Nate Caldwell. I'm not a hero. I'm not an influencer. I'm just a guy who wanted a quiet reset after a rough couple years, the kind where you keep telling people, I'm fine, and then you sit in your car in the driveway for 10 minutes because going inside feels heavy. My wife, Lila, and I bought our place in Maple Hollow because it had this wide backyard that backed up to a strip of trees. The kind that turns gold in the fall and makes you believe in fresh starts again. Lila called it our breathing room. I called it the only place I could hear myself think. We moved in with 2 suitcases, a dog, and a box of grief we didn't really talk about. We weren't looking for drama. We were looking for peace. The HOA paperwork was annoying, sure, but it felt like normal suburban nonsense. Paint colors, lawn height, no boats visible from street. I skimmed it and figured, whatever, I can follow rules. I'm not trying to start a revolution. I'm trying to build a fire pit. Turns out the revolution came to me. So I walked up to the crew, still barefoot, holding my coffee like that was going to give me authority. Hey man, I said, trying to sound calm. What's going on? The guy closest to me didn't even look up, just kept measuring. I had to ask again. Finally, the one with the clipboard turned, gave me this bored, pre-programmed smile, and said, we're installing the barrier. The barrier, I repeated. In my yard. He nodded like I was the slow one. Community safety project. Lila came out behind me, hair in a messy bun, still in her sweatshirt. She took one look at the posts, then at the coil of wire, and her face went tight. That is not a safety fence, she said. That's razor wire. Clipboard guy sighed. Ma'am, I just do the work orders. I held out my hand. Show me the work order. He flipped a paper toward me like he was feeding a parking meter. It had the HOA letterhead at the top, the words Perimeter Enhancement Initiative, and a signature from someone named Dana Kessler, HOA board president. No property map, no easement reference, no explanation. Just a vague line that basically said installation approved, proceed. I read it twice. Then I looked up and said, this is private property. Clipboard guy shrugged. Take it up with the HOA. That phrase. Take it up with the HOA. You'll hear it a lot. Lila stepped forward. You're not putting that across our yard. Clipboard guy glanced at his watch like we were making him late for lunch. We're on a schedule. If you want us to stop, you need the HOA to tell us to stop. I took a slow breath, because I could feel my temper trying to climb out of my chest. Okay, I said. Then we're calling them right now. We called. The HOA office number went straight to a chirpy voicemail. We emailed. We got an auto reply. We texted the community number listed on the website. Nothing. So I did what every adult does when they're about to lose their mind. I drove to the HOA clubhouse, parked crooked, and walked in like I owned the place. Behind the desk was a woman with a headset and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Hi, how can I help you? I'm Nate Caldwell on Pine Ridge Lane, I said. There are workers in my backyard putting razor wire across my property. Her smile didn't change. Oh yes, that's part of our community safety perimeter upgrade. Why is it in my yard? It's along the shared boundary. No, I said. It's not. It's in my yard. I can stand on it. She blinked slowly, then clicked her mouse like my reality was a minor inconvenience. Well, the board voted. Where was that vote announced? Lila asked. The receptionist tilted her head. It was in the newsletter. We didn't get a newsletter, I said. Then you should attend the next monthly meeting, she replied, still smiling. But I would recommend you don't interfere with the contractors. I stared at her. Did you just tell me not to interfere with someone trespassing on my property? Her smile thinned. Sir, The HOA has authority under the covenant. I swear, she said it like a spell. We left that office with the kind of anger that makes you quiet. Not screaming, not dramatic. Just quiet. Like your body is storing heat for later. That afternoon, Lila did what she always does when something feels off. She started digging. Not physically, yet. Online. Records, permits, neighborhood postings. She's the kind of person who reads the fine print for fun. I'm the kind of person who thinks terms and conditions are a suggestion. That day, we swapped personalities. By dinner, Lila had a screenshot pulled up on her laptop. "Nate," she said, "look at this." It was a post from a local business journal about Maple Hollow partnering with a private firm called Blackstone Civic Security. The article was full of corporate buzzwords: risk mitigation, perimeter solutions, smart monitoring. And then there was a photo of a fence, not a normal fence, a heavy, industrial thing with sensor boxes mounted on the posts. My stomach dropped. That looks like what they're building. Lila zoomed in. And look here. The logo on the post. She had circled it. A small emblem, stamped into metal. Not the HOA's logo. Blackstone's. So not only was this not just the HOA. The HOA had brought in a private security contractor. And if you're thinking, why would a suburban neighborhood need a private security contractor with sensor boxes? Congrats. You're sane. That night, I walked the backyard with my flashlight. I followed the survey line and the partially installed posts. Near one of the holes, I saw something that didn't belong. A bundle of thin cables tucked under the dirt like somebody tried to hide it fast. I crouched down, brushed the soil away, and felt my throat go dry. It wasn't just a fence. It was wired. Like infrastructure. I called my buddy Marcus, who does low-voltage installs. I sent him a photo. He texted back, one line, "That's not for lights." By morning, the crew was back. And this time, they brought heavier equipment. A black van. No company name. Just tinted windows and a vibe that screamed, "Don't ask questions." I walked out with my phone recording, because at this point, my trust was gone. "Morning," I said, loud enough for the camera. "You're on private property. Who are you with?" A guy in a dark jacket looked at me like I was a mosquito. "Authorized operation," he said. "Authorized by who?" I asked. He didn't answer. Just stepped around me. Lila, standing behind me, said, "Touch our property again, and we call the police." The guy finally looked at her. His voice was calm, but the calm was wrong. "Ma'am, if you obstruct this project, you'll be in violation." "In violation of what?" she snapped. He smiled. "Community standards." I couldn't believe it. This man was threatening us with HOA language like it was a weapon. We called the police anyway. A patrol car showed up, took one look at the HOA work order, and gave us that tired shrug cops give when they're about to tell you this is a civil matter. "You might need to take it up with the HOA," he said. I almost laughed again, but it wasn't funny now. The next day, we got our first fine. Not for the fence. For our lawn. It said our grass was non-compliant due to disturbance. Disturbance. Caused by them digging in it. I stood in the kitchen holding the notice like it was a prank letter. "They're charging us because they tore up our yard." Lila's hands were shaking. "They're testing us," she said. "They want to see if we'll fold." That night, a black SUV sat across the street with its engine running. Just idling. Watching. Not hidden, not subtle. Like a reminder. And the next morning, there was an envelope in our mailbox with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "Stop making this difficult." That was it. No signature. No logo. Just a sentence. Like somebody thought we were a problem they could manage with a warning. I've never felt rage like that. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind that makes you dangerous. I looked at Lila and said, "Okay, we're done playing nice." We hired an attorney. Her name was Gwen Park. Small office. Sharp eyes. No nonsense. She read the HOA covenant, then the work order, then stared at me like I'd just told her someone stole my porch. "They can't do this," she said. "Not without an easement or your consent." "Then why are they doing it?" I asked. Gwen tapped the paper. "Because most people don't push back. They rely on intimidation and confusion." So we started building a case, not a rant, not a Facebook fight, a real case. Photos, videos, dates, names, license plates, copies of every fine, every email, every threat. And then Gwen found something that changed everything. It was a filing connected to Blackstone Civic Security, tied to a holding company called Ridgewell Development Partners. and Ridgewell had recently submitted proposals for a mixed-use revitalization project in our area. Not officially in Maple Hollow, but close enough to smell like it. Gwen sat across from us and said, "This is a land play." "What do you mean?" Lila asked. "I mean," Gwen said slowly, "if you can make the neighborhood feel unstable or unsafe, you can push property values down. People sell. Developers buy cheap." I felt my skin go cold. "So this safety project is the threat?" Gwen nodded. "Exactly. That's when we decided to go public. We didn't do it with dramatic music. We did it the way normal people do. We printed a binder. A big one. We brought it to the city's code enforcement office, the planning department, and the council member who lived 3 neighborhoods over. We filed complaints about unpermitted construction, hazardous fencing, and unauthorized monitoring equipment. We asked one simple question in writing: show us the permit. And for the first time, the HOA blinked. The next HOA meeting was packed. People who never showed up for anything were there, sitting on folding chairs like it was a courtroom drama. Dana Kessler, the HOA president, stood at the front with a microphone and that polished smile. "This initiative is for the community's protection," she said. I stood up. My hands were sweaty, my heart was pounding, but my voice came out steady. "Protection from what, Dana? Be specific." Dana's smile tightened. "We've had reports of suspicious activity." "Reports from who?" I asked. "Blackstone." A few people murmured. Dana lifted her chin. "This is not the time for accusations." I held up my phone. "Then let's do facts. Why is there razor wire in my yard? Why are there cables buried at the posts? Why did we receive fines for lawn damage your contractors caused? And why does your security partner share a corporate address with Ridgewell Development Partners?" That last one hit like a slap. Dana's face flickered, just for a second. Fear. Anger. Something. A man in the back shouted, "What's Ridgewell?" Another voice said, "Is this why they keep changing the rules?" Dana tried to regain control. "This meeting is about community cohesion dash." "No," Lila said, standing beside me. Her voice was calm, but it carried. "This is about consent. You can't bully people into giving up their property and call it safety." That's when Dana's attorney, sitting off to the side, leaned in and whispered something. Dana nodded and said into the mic, "Further disruption will result in violations." I smiled, and it wasn't a happy smile. "Go ahead," I said. "Add it to the pile." 2 days later, the city posted a stop work order on the fence. I took a photo of it like it was a trophy. Blackstone pulled their crew out by sunset. The van disappeared. The SUV stopped idling across the street. For a moment, the neighborhood was quiet again. Then the HOA tried one last move. They sent us a notice of intent to place a lien on our home for accumulated noncompliance. Gwen laughed when she saw it. "They're panicking," she said. "Good." The city council hearing happened the following week. And this time, the room felt different. Not just us in the HOA. Neighbors showed up. Reporters showed up. People who had been scared to speak were suddenly whispering, "Me too." Gwen presented our evidence cleanly. Not emotional, just undeniable. Photos of the fence line cutting into our surveyed property. Screenshots of the corporate links. Records showing no permits filed. Copies of fines issued the day after we complained. A timeline that made the pattern obvious. Dana's side tried the usual lines. Community safety. Board authority. Confidential threats. One council member leaned forward and said, "If it's confidential, why is there razor wire?" That question landed. Dana didn't have an answer. She just blinked. In the end, the city ordered the fence removed. They fined the HOA for unauthorized construction. They opened an investigation into Blackstone's activities. And Dana Kessler resigned 2 days later, claiming personal reasons, which is HOA language for "I got caught." We watched them dismantle that fence piece by piece. The post came out. The wire got rolled up. The sensor boxes vanished like they'd never existed. Lila and I stood on our back porch holding hands, watching our yard come back to life. We replanted grass. We rebuilt the little garden bed they destroyed. We finally built that fire pit. And the craziest part is, people started apologizing. Neighbors we'd never met came over and said, "I'm sorry I stayed quiet." Others admitted they'd gotten weird fines, weird warnings, weird pressure to sell. So yeah, we won. But here's the part that still bothers me. And this is where I want you to lean in. Because the fence came down, but the mindset didn't magically disappear. The HOA is still there. The same system that let a handful of people make secret decisions is still in place, unless the community changes it. And Ridgewell Development Partners? They didn't vanish. They just went quiet. Developers don't stop wanting land because they got embarrassed once. They just get smarter about the next attempt. So here's my question for you, and I genuinely want to hear your take in the comments. Where's the line between community standards and straight-up control? If you've ever dealt with an HOA power trip, a neighborhood bully, a company hiding behind legal language, tell me what happened. Did you fight it? Did you fold? Did you regret either choice? And if you think Nate and Lila should have done something differently, say it. I can take it. I've been underestimated before. And it didn't end the way they expected. If you want more stories like this, hit like, subscribe, and share this with anyone who's ever gotten one of those ridiculous HOA letters. Because trust me, the moment you think it's just a little rule, that's when the razor wire shows up. And you realize you were never arguing about grass. You were arguing about who gets to decide what your home really is.